And we'll be back from the break. Business Today continues. We head into the coffee court.
Well, it's a pleasure and thank you for joining us. This time round we'll be discussing and digesting matters of the East African community. And welcome to the Coffee Court, where we ask the hard questions, but critical questions to the right people. And I'm joined by the Right Honorable former Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, but is also a honorable member, one of the old brooms in this country, to help us digest matters of the East African community. Honorable, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and it's an honor for me. Good afternoon or good evening, viewers, and thank you for joining us during this important moment.
One would be asking, after the political season is done, what are you doing?
Oh, a lot of work. I'm educating the students, the children, in the education sector, St. Margaret College, Makerere, St. Mary's High School, Migadi. I'm also doing other philanthropy work with the Nagulu Reception Center, for instance, amongst others. But I'm also in the garden, though these days the garden is not very promising because the weather is not very favorable. I'm also doing a lot of work with the Uganda Netball Federation and other work which come my way, either because I think I'm graduating to the areas of, maybe I should say, to the cluster of wisdom holders. So several people come my way, have a lot of responsibility in the church. If you ask me what brings money out of all that, I would say none, but I'm happy to serve.
It's a pleasure that you have time to spend time on some of the other issues.
Thank you.
Straight away to the critical issues, the East African Legislative Assembly. Can you give us a background why this came into existence?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want you to appreciate that in 1999, the heads of state, at the time, the three heads of state, His Excellency Uhuru, His Excellency, sorry about that, but the three of Kenya, United Republic of Tanzania, and the Republic of Uganda decided that it's very, very important that we revive the East African community, which was in existence since 1964 and collapsed in 1967. 77, but as you are aware, we have been, or we are highly, I should say, related. We are one and the same in many, many aspects as peoples of East Africa. Of course, we're colonized by the same colonial masters. Some of the basic first infrastructure was the same, the East African Railway, those first corporations, the East African ports, railways and harbors, the Uganda Airlines, rather the East African Airways, and many others. So we were together and we've been together. And the boundaries which we really know now, or we see to date, were non-existent at the time. And you find that very many people who either are on the border areas, border tribes, are actually very similar. These borders just came to divide them, some to the left, others to the right, or some to the north, others to the south. So the heads of state thought it wise that we need to revive, because first and foremost, the first East African community broke up not really on the basis of principles.
What was the reason?
I should use the light word, complex. Egos.
Between the states?
Between the leaders.
Okay.
I don't like you. I don't feel comfortable working with you. I don't understand you very well. I use those very simple words because maybe there was some bit of inequity in sharing of resources, and maybe others did not even know how to put it or how to express that dissatisfaction. Maybe the equation was not clear, and many other issues. They were sort of like wrapped inside there.
Don't these egos still exist?
Well, but there's mechanisms now. There are more elaborate mechanisms to handle them than then. So when the heads of state realized that definitely it's not serving a good purpose for all of us to remain as individual entities. I mean, some of us are even more disadvantaged. We're a landlocked country, for instance. We needed the sea for development, for imports, for exports, among us other things. I'm just picking a few. So they realized that there is no reason why we would remain individual states. We'd rather come back together and make an economic bloc and make an integrated bloc so that we are able to develop, so that we are able to help our people. Definitely, it's obvious. There are a few obvious issues. For instance, when you are together, you have a bigger market. When you produce for a bigger market, you are likely to attract more resources. And also to be able to harmonize and also, I should say, protect your market.
Okay.
You should sort of like not be an importing country for the others and not be able to produce for yourself. Okay. When you're together, you'll be able. So there are obvious advantages of being together. So the heads of state realized these advantages and worked towards the re-establishment of the East African Community. So in 1999, the East African Community Treaty was re-signed. And when it was re-signed, it had an elaborate mechanism with steps of how we are going to reintegrate, including the customs union, the common market, the East African Customs Union, the East African Common Market Protocol, the Monetary Union, and ultimately the regional integration. So those 4 steps are part of what is going to give a direction on how East African Community is going to really put its crutches on the ground.
So you said initially they started as 3-member countries.
Yes.
Now we have 4, 5, 6, 7 on
7,
board.
yes.
Is it about numbers?
No.
It's about what?
It's about relations and relationships and the nearness to each other and the dependability on each other. You'll appreciate that one of the principles on membership in Article 3 of the East African Community is that a country can become a member of the East African Community, for instance, if it is a neighbor to a member of to a country which is a partner state, which is a member of the East African Community.
Okay.
And in there is the aspect of dependability or relationships, as they say, trade relationships, and many others. We could go on and on. So in that, foreign relations, defense, security, so in there, all these were envisaged, that if a country feels that it is more beneficial for it to be a member of the East African Community, it has the opportunity to apply to join the East African Community.
Okay.
So these countries you've seen applying and joining qualify because they border countries, partner states of the East African Community. DRC, for instance, okay, initially Rwanda and Burundi, then DRC now, then South Sudan, and maybe Somalia very soon. So these are our neighbors within the bigger African continent. And like you, don't forget that the ultimate of all these economic blocks is to build a one Africa, a one united Africa. And if we can attain it, if we can achieve it, then we shall be a very, very strong economic and political bloc.
But is it attainable anyway?
It is. It is. Even others have attained it. You look at the United States. It wasn't easy for them. They went to wars. The southern states were never feeling comfortable with the northern states. Northern states were saying, leave, let the slaves go. The southern states were saying, no. Free men, black men in the north, were given freedom. And the moment they crossed to go to the southern states, they were again hijacked and became slaves again. until they had to go to courts, among us others. So many things happened. And it took time, almost 50 or 60 years. So even for us in Africa, it will happen.
Okay, Sudan is on board.
Yes.
Congo is on board.
Yes.
What does this expansion mean when it comes to Uganda's growth and development?
Not Uganda first, but in terms of the size of the East African community.
No, we'd first of all think of Uganda because it's
so
first.
Okay, what is entailed in the integration? It means free movement of people, free movement of services, free trade among us countries, free market among us countries. That means there are no tax barriers among us others. So if you produce something here, call it agriculture, call it manufactured, you can sell it as far as Congo or as far as Kenya, Mandera, as far as Kavu or Kivu. And when I mention places, I mean you can sell it in Rwanda, in Burundi, in DRC Congo. So you have a bigger market. So this is what it means. And for Uganda, we are so blessed. You know, we are what we call a food basket for East Africa. To date, many countries are suffering, are hunger-stricken. There is no food. But in Uganda, generally, leave alone the problem of Karamoja, which maybe is also a very big mindset, and I will say mindset because I would say when you look at the pictures, the country is still green.
But having food with all the prices being high,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. You have the food in the country, but the prices.
The factor which makes the prices high is really not food per se, it's the fuel. This fuel, which you see, is the one which helps with the redistribution of the food. If it's produced in Kabale or in Kasese or in Mawokota or in whatever part of, in order for it to reach the market or to reach Karamoja or to reach any part of the country where it should be, where there could be a deficiency, it needs to be transported. And this transport is what hikes the food prices. But in reality, there is plenty of food. And when I say plenty, I'm convinced because at least people can still, you can still find the mangoes, you can still find the avocados, you can still find the bananas. You know, you can.
And you find that as an opportunity?
It is a great opportunity. You know, I want to remind you, you recall when we had the COVID here and the borders were closed and you could appreciate what happened. The tray of eggs, for instance, went as low as 3,000.
That's true.
Why? Because the eggs were not able to be exported to the other parts of the region or further on. So that means that the only market available was just that in Uganda. And also in Uganda, the people could hardly be able to either to afford or to access. So basically that's what it means. It means that when you milk, you remember what happened. The pineapples, the bananas, all these foodstuffs could not travel across the borders, and that in itself limited the distribution system, and in effect our prices were so low. Okay. Now when the borders opened, you can see today the tray of eggs, I'm picking on what I can quickly talk about. The tray of eggs is 12,000, 15,000. That's how quick the price is. Milk and many others. So that's why I'm telling you that the factor of transport, the factor of fuel is a very important ingredient in trade, is a very important ingredient in the exchange of goods and services.
Let's now shift gear
and
to
their price.
Matters of language. Swahili is on board.
Yeah.
What is it that is going to add on the East African
communication? When you are trading, for instance, let me first mention that now the summit, the 23rd summit, 24th summit, which just sat in Arusha, has added an affirmation that Swahili and French must be quickly integrated in the education sector. Okay. In teaching, the teaching of Swahili and French should be facilitated or should be expedited, so that our people are able to learn it and they are able to relate, they are able to communicate, they are able to trade among
But
themselves.
why Kiswahili? Why can't we continue with English? Or maybe any other local language?
English is an expensive language. When I say expensive, I mean it. And phonetics is not within our phonetics. Yet Swahili is within our phonetics. Swahili, when you say, when we learn A, E, O. When I say A, E, O, it could be different from, for instance, the Luo speaking, but still, it is within. And it's a big segment, for instance, of those who say A, E, O. That fits very well within our local language and can easily become a trade. It's actually a trade language. Somebody on the street, somebody who are relating as 5 or 10 can easily pick 5 words out of a statement and they are able to understand. English, they say A, E, I, O, U. Meaning that where I say A, for them they say A, and so on and so forth. So it's very far from where we are.
So what impact does it bring?
And you find that in relation to the way how we are doing things, you have to learn that in school. And school is actually expensive. Although now adding Swahili in school will facilitate the learners, the young learners, to know both languages. So if a student knows, for instance, in media, if in trade, it helps what I would call quicker facilitation of ideas, innovation ideas, amongst others. So trade is easier, education becomes easier, science and technology becomes easier, amongst others. So that's why Swahili as a language is seen as a way of communication. It's spoken in Kenya, it's spoken in the whole of Tanzania. If you look at their population demographies, most of these people understand it. And if you are to trade, for instance, if I'm to go to Kenya, I'll be able to trade with there are almost 60 million people. If I'm going to Tanzania, almost 75 million people, I'll be able to trade. If you now add DRC Congo, I think they're about 72 million, I'll be able to trade. If you add Burundi, which is about 9 million, if you add Rwanda, which is about 12 million, so you can see the extent. Yet, of course, the moment you say English, you may go very fast in Kenya, perhaps, but not very fast in Tanzania, and you'll be already, you'd have lost out if you go to Burundi, you'd have lost out maybe perhaps when you go to Rwanda, and so on and so forth. So language is very important in the integrating of people. When people are able to talk to each other, then it helps even idea fusion and maybe idea exchange.
PSFU have argued that common currency and having a common bank is key in this.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, Right Honorable?
This is actually one of is within the integration processes or integration pillars. Common market, customs union, monetary union. The monetary union is key when people are able to exchange or to trade among us themselves, and they have a currency which is easily convertible or which they understand. That helps them in terms of quick, call it quick value equation. You know that if I have a basket of bananas and I've produced them in Uganda, I would know if in Uganda currency it's for instance 50,000, that would be equivalent to so much. Now you may appreciate that we've been having what I would call we have an international currency, the dollar, for instance, and it's far-reached. It has many other angles in it. For instance, if it's influenced by, for instance, the war in Russia and Ukraine, it will affect the dollar.
So what will this common currency bring?
This common currency will be more localized. It will reduce the what we call the external influence, and it will be readily convertible. It will be available. It will not be like determined by another force which is outside the community. Now this one will be East African Community currency, determined and for instance weighed and actually appreciated on the value, because we may have so many other non-monetarized appreciations, but they may not be able to be fully grasped into the dollar, for instance, or euro currency aspect. Long ago, we used to have the under COMESA, the WAPTA. I don't know.
Which may seem have not worked out.
It may not have worked out, but because of course at the time, it wasn't also even a currency as such. It was like travelers' checks as such, and they sort of like gave what I would call a level of trade among us countries, for instance, who may not have had the opportunity to equate what they have in dollars, but they could equate it in WAPTA.
Okay.
So this is why I'm saying that this
PSFU,
Yes.
Private Sector Foundation,
is looking at the opportunity which is coming in from the monetary union perspective to say a common currency can easily give a boost development within the region, because we are not going to be influenced or bondaged by the availability of dollars, by the, because those also have their own limitations.
Okay.
So that's why we feel that the common market and the customs union and now the monetary union will bound all the advantages we've received out of having a common market and out of the monetary union, and now that trade to be actually, I don't want to call it standardized, but to be strengthened, so that is not withered or influenced negatively by the for instance the other currencies, the other hard currencies, which we may not have hard control over.
What is it that you don't want that should change as we plan to wind up this discussion on matters of East African community? What is lacking?
I think two things. At times there is what I would call selfishness, sovereignty, sovereignty holding. Some partner states may still have that sovereignty holding. Oh, this is for us as Uganda, and that in itself may bring in what I would call a limitation, a barrier to a full integration of the East African community. It definitely is good when you sort of like think through and you sort of like hold it to what should be your own. But you should now know that once you say, let us integrate, what you've agreed on to open up for should actually be opened up for. Sometimes when you see some of the challenges which we've had, because for instance, common market would mean open borders. People should freely move across borders. There are mechanisms which were put in place. The issue of readable identity card is one of those mechanisms. Readable passport is one of those. You would move throughout East Africa with a passport. You are an East African of Ugandan origin. Now, when you find that borders get closed because of other factors, could be COVID, for instance, because we don't have a similar health standard arrangement. When you say, let everybody be vaccinated, others are saying, no, it's your choice, then you find that is not standardized. When I say that, you will appreciate where I'm coming from. For instance, others would say, you are not wishing me well. When I say wishing me well, you are at my back, security-wise. So let's block our what? Our border. So that all those are some of the factors which maybe hamper the full integration of the East African community. But I would say that comes with trust. I mean, I need to trust you to say that no, you can't. Somebody can't do that to me. Oh, this is my brother. He can't do that to me. Every one of us should be, each one of us is brother's back watch. I should watch your back, and you should watch my back.
We should be winding up
as we integrate.
We should be
and I think these are some of the threats for the if we check that wish for sovereignty, so that people don't really want to hold on to sovereignty. If we're able to find those issues, the area of peace and security is still JK. When I say JK, there are still a few hitches here and there
that needs to be
which needs to be handled, and some of the other exogenous factors, issues of weather, we need to handle them together. Issues of disease, issues of then we are able to stabilize on some of those which we must handle together. The health policies, the education policies. Then we shall be able to move. Then the trade policies, because those are fundamental. It's the first phase of the integration. It's trade. Then the others will follow.
Right, Honorable, thank you for allowing to speak to us on this Coffee Court. Of course, the discussion regarding matters of the East African community continues. This is the Coffee Court. My name is Makubia Fred. We continue to drive your business.
All right, we'll be back from that particular Coffee Court. We move further with business today. We look at MultiChoice. As MultiChoice Uganda, the providers of world-class quality entertainment and information through a lineup of great channels viewed across the globe, out of which Smart24 is part of that with GoTV channel 394. This time around, this has pushed them to put an increase on the cost of different bouquets by 18% with effect from 1st September 2022. With this report, we look at the new bouquets and new subscription fees from MultiChoice Uganda.
Noan Semanda Chiza, the PR and Communications Manager for MultiChoice Uganda, said to continue serving the same quality of entertainment effective September 1st, 2022. MultiChoice Uganda will adjust the price of DSTV and GoTV packages in line with the current market conditions.
As a result of the growing inflation happening in Uganda that has affected a number of businesses, MultiChoice Uganda inclusive. In order for MultiChoice to continue delivering the entertainment that we have been bringing our customers, I am here today to announce that effective 1st September 2022, we have made some price revisions for our different bouquets. Those revisions are cutting across both DSTV and GoTV, all the way from our GoTV Lite bouquet to our DSTV Premium bouquet.
MultiChoice Uganda says they are aware that its customers are braving hard times and have considered the same in revising the charges.
And the decisions that they will make as an after effect of this price increase, it is not lost on us that making the decision to pay for TV is, in essence, it is a want and not a need. And for our customers, what we are trying to do, or what we do to the best of our possibility, is to give you the best sports, to give you the best entertainment, to give you the best and the most recent news, cartoons, content, so that the decision then falls in your hands for you to make the decision on if you would like to pay for your household to enjoy these TV services or if not.
The cost of acquiring the broadcast rights for most of these channels have, however, increased, hence impacting the cost of delivering the content to customers in Uganda. Desire Nambiru, Smart24 TV, driving business.
All right, now let's have a recap of our top stories.
Bust River Navyonga banks paralyzed business in Bali as rescue efforts continue. Mengo Bogisu focus on increased coffee production as government speaks out value addition. Legislators visit Raxio data center in Namavi to assess suitability.
It's the 1st of August 2022, the first day of the month, and it's actually starting on a high note with a Monday. And I will definitely be wishing you a happy new month this very moment. And I hope that the Almighty God can bless you through and you can achieve all that your heart desires. And may this new month be very kind to your mental health. I'm Joram Paul Sonko with Winnie Williams and Nakauchi in Sign Language. We've been coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. Have a blessed night. Good evening.